Bem-vindos to one more episode of the Type Theory for All podcast. As always, this is your host, Pedro Abreu. And today's conversation is a very, very special conversation for me for two reasons. The first one is that this is the first recorded in-person episode that we do. So forgive me if anything is weird about it. We're still learning how to do these things, and all was recorded on our iPhone. The second reason is because this conversation is held with Francille Zhuang, and Francille is a former student of mine on a time when I was a TA on discrete math, and she would come and hang out after class or come to office hours, and we would be talking about programming languages, about career-hard isomorphism, about theorem provers, and all the cool stuff. And she says that I was somehow an influence to her career decision to pursue a PhD in programming languages. So in this episode, we're gonna be having this very, very nice conversation with her about her research with Patrick Lafontaine, a good friend of mine, and Benjamin Delaware, my master thesis advisor. She talks about the research she's been doing on property-based testing and a poster that she's going to be presenting at POPO next year, which is very, very exciting. Towards the end of the episode, the second half of this episode, we also talk about grad school application, about all the documents necessary, statement of purpose, all of those cool things that you need to, what is it necessary to pursue a PhD in programming languages. I'm sure you guys are gonna love this episode. And also reminds me to make a little bit of advertisement for this program that I have launched earlier last month. So now I have a mentorship program in a Type Theory for All, where I am assisting students to apply for grad school, for masters, for their PhD programs. So I'm giving them feedback on their letters, on their SOP, on giving advice on how to take TOEFL and GRE and all those things. And I've been currently working with some students on that and mapping their best interest, what universities should they aim for, all of that. If you think that would be interesting for you, if you're currently applying, or if you think of applying and would like to have a conversation, go to our website, www.typetheoryforall.com/mentorship, and schedule our first one-on-one meeting today. And also, I will take the opportunity to thank our patrons, where I'm gonna put their names here in the screen. I'm extremely grateful for each and every one of you. We have released this new podcast, actually, only for patrons, called Type Theory Exists, where I'll be talking in a much more vulnerable position, where I'll really talk my heart out on things that I'm not very comfortable sharing out there in the internet. I just released this episode right before this Type Theory for All episode, where I talk about this trip at Purdue and how was it for me to come back and how Purdue looks like. I share some pictures. So if you think this is something that you would be interested in, go to our Patreon, typetheoryforall.com/Patreon, and you will find all the information. And we also have the store.typetheoryforall.com, which with some really cool merch, if you would be interested in that. Otherwise, if you are just a casual listener of the show and if you're enjoying it, go to our ko-fi.com/typetheoryforall, and consider donating any amount. Any amount is going to be extremely greatly appreciated. We're currently doing a crowdfunding so that I can buy a proper camera, because right now I'm literally looking at my iPhone 13, I think, and I think it's a time for me to get a proper camera, as a respect to you guys, my listeners. You know, we're doing that crowdfunding. Any donation will be greatly appreciated. Without further ado, let's get into this conversation. Welcome everyone to one more episode of the Type Theory for All podcast. As always, it's a great pleasure to be here. And today is a very special event in this podcast, because for two reasons. The first one is that I'm back home at Purdue, and the second reason is that we're here with a student of mine, Francille Zhuang. How are you, Francille?
Good. How are you?
It's very good. Very nice reconnecting with you again, and very nice the conversation that we had the time we were here, and to see that you got interested in this field, in programming languages, in type theory, in working with my advisor Ben and my friend Patrick. Made me so happy. Very cool, and very happy to be here having this conversation with you. And I'm very interested, because something that I want to tell the listeners right now is that I specifically asked her to not tell me all the details because I wanted to know, like, in record, like, just, I don't know, make it a little more real for you guys as well, the listeners, right? So the way that I always start my conversations with my guests and everyone is that I'm always very curious and very interested in how did you get into type theory, into programming languages? What sparked your interest? How was your path into all of it?
Yeah, well, I would say like you're the spark of it. So, Pedro was my TA for one of the classes at Purdue. It was one of those like the first class they had to take. It's like discrete math, and he's my TA for that. And I go to office hours and get my help, on the homework and stuff. And then there was like maybe like one or two times where like I would stay after and ask Pedro, okay, what did you research? And then he researches programming languages, right? And then I don't know, I asked lots of questions, and I really liked how passionate he was about it. And then he would go into a lot of depth, and I really appreciate that. Like he literally drew stuff on the whiteboard, about like church and Turing, and then I think he drew like the big cube. Yeah, and then I was like, well, the thing is, when he told me that he did programming languages, like I had no idea what that really was, right? So I thought, okay, it's programming languages. Is it like more linguistics? Like, like what is it about that you really study? But then he I don't know, went into more depth about no the origins of it with Turing, with he mentioned the lambda calculus, and I was like, this is not what I expected at all. So that's kind of what sparked the interest in it. Was like I just had no idea about this field, and it's so broad, and I liked how it's a little bit meta too. Yeah. Um. So that was the start of the path, and then so that was like on the back of my mind for a little bit. And then Pedro also mentioned, yeah, I do this podcast, Type 3 for All, where I interview people and then I talk about foreign languages. And then so I listened. So I like after a bit, I listened to a couple episodes. Right, I knew that his advisor was, Benjamin Van Delaware, so that was on my back of mind for a little bit. Um, so those were all things I was thinking about. So this was sophomore year, summer of sophomore year. That I met Pedro, and then he spoke this little interest in me. And then in the fall semester of junior year, I was like thinking about classes I want to take in the spring. And then I knew I was interested. I want to learn more about programming languages, and I was looking through the courses, and then I noticed like a programming language, a PL class, and I know Ben teaches it. And then the weird thing was like, oh, it wasn't listed for the spring semester. I don't know when it will be on. So I emailed Ben about it. I asked him, hey, I'm really interested in PL. Are you teaching? Will you be teaching this class next semester? And then if not, what are resources, what things I can do to learn more? And then he told me, yes, the undergrad PL class is not running, but there will be the grad version of it. And he says it's very similar, and I should just take that instead. So in the spring semester, I took PL, and that was with Suresh.
Oh,
Yeah. So I took PL with Suresh.
that's harder.
Yeah. It was, it was a hard class. And then that was, I guess that was like my first, that was like technically my first like grad class I took too. So I don't know, I really had to think during lectures, which was like kind of new, right? Because like,
Yeah.
which previously you can just let it wash through you, and then it's like not that complicated. And then so he told me to take the grad PL class. So okay, yes, I'll do that. And then he also said, hey, do you want to get involved in research? And I was like, yeah, I'll be really interested in it. And then he said, yeah, email me again, in a month out, like after winter break. After fall break. So that was after like October. And I said, and then I did that. And then he connected me with Patrick. So we did a couple of exchanges with me, Patrick, and Ben. And then I think we had our first meeting, I think probably, it was either at the end of the fall semester or beginning of the spring semester. But then I learned a little bit about what kind of research Patrick does. And then we had a couple of chats about what I was supposed to do to help it. And then I was so confused at each one of those meetings because I had no idea what's going on. And then they would talk about stuff, and I just did not know what the words meant. And I really had no idea what they wanted me to do. And I was like, okay, let's just get started, and then see how it goes. And then over winter break, so Ben had linked me to Michael Clarkson's OCaml textbook.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I did that over winter break, and I learned OCaml, for the first time.
This is your first functional programming language?
Yes, that was my first functional programming language. And I was like, wow, this is so cool. I like how everything just makes sense. It just works out. I was like, I really, really like this. And yeah, more specifically, there's one part where he talks about like Leonard calculus, and then like a function application, and then it works the same way in OCaml. And it's like, wow, it just works. Yeah, so learning OCaml was cool, and that kind of gave me the resources I need to do to help Patrick with his research project, and then we started in the spring. So that's pretty much the path of how I got into PL.
Tell us about this research. What are you guys doing?
Yeah. So when I first joined, Patrick was working on his paper covering all the bases, and so it's in party-based testing. And then for those who don't know, party-based testing is like a testing framework that tries to probe the behavior of the function on a test using a bunch of different randomly generated inputs. Should I go in more? Okay, yeah. So with party-based testing, you have the function you want to test, and you also have this precondition and postcondition. So precondition says, okay, like this is basically describing what kind of inputs that a program is taking. For example, if we want to test like the deletion function for binary search trees, you want to input a valid binary search tree, and you probably want to give it some like integer that you want to delete it from. So those are two requirements. You want a valid binary search tree, you want an integer. Those are preconditions. Okay. And then you have the function, and then the postcondition says, okay, afterwards, what do I want to be true? So afterwards, I want the binary search tree to also be a valid binary search tree. Okay. So with party-based testing and the research that we do, we look at the precondition, specifically how we get all this like large amount of all these inputs to test with. So if we have the valid binary search tree precondition, we need some way to get a bunch of valid binary search trees, right? So the way we do it is with these RAM input generators. So what Patrick was doing research on was okay, so making these input generators is a lot of work, he had his joke slide on his presentation that's like, who wants to do testing, and then no, and everyone raises their hand, and then he asks, who wants to write tests, and then like no one raises their hands, right?
Yeah.
So it's hard to write these input generators because, like, imagine you have specific type of tree you want to write out, and then right. So what he does is that what his tool Cobb does is that you give it a sketch of an input generator. There's like there's a bunch of it's like the generator, but with like a bunch of holes in it, and then the holes are like choosing what kind of like random like integer, or like what kind of how it puts the integers together, and then you get a sketch, and then you give it this coverage type definition, and then Cobb will just like find out what kind of things needs to be put in the holes, so that altogether it creates an input generator that like has the coverage that you want. So that was the research that he was doing at the time, and then he was working on it up until like through this summer, and then it was accepted at UPSLA, and he got presented like a month ago or something, or half a month ago. So when I came in, I was basically helping him write benchmarks for it. So one of the first things that I had to do as like a little intro, get my hands wet situation, was that so he had the input generators that he has, and then I was supposed to write some input generators of my own. So that means I got to use OCaml to kind of to write these like recursive functions that generates like lists, or like trees, by black trees, things like that. And then later on, he had me write these generators that were like more specific, like that has coverage, and what is like is safe. And then I would help him run the benchmarks for that. And then that was what I did with his research project. And then so I helped him with what he needed that, and then after that, Ben was like, okay, do you want to work on your own project? And I was like, yes, that'd be really cool. So with these input generators, this creates these data, right? And then the thing is, like, you don't really know much about the distributions of the inputs that you get, and sometimes you want the distribution to be in a certain way. Sometimes you don't know what that distribution is, and you just want it to be pretty uniform. So what my research project is looking at is how do we tune these generators so that we get the distributions that are good, that the programmer wants. So the way these input generators are like non-deterministic is that there are like points where for example, it branches between terminating like for a list generator, it'll choose terminating with like a nil list, or appending some random integer with like whatever recursive call. So there's like two cases, like terminating case and then like a recursive call. And then so what I do is it chooses these 2 points non-deterministically. Like it uses like a boolgen to do that. And then what I do is I first like replace the booleans with in OCaml. So in OCaml there's QCheck, which is the party-based testing framework. And then in QCheck, they have a way of specifying specifying the like weights for some between two generators. So basically, I put these two paths into this thing called frequency, basically frequency gen, and then there are weights that I need to take. So what we need to figure out then is like what weights or how often should I choose, branch A between branch B, so that we get the data that we want at the end.
So these branches are, so for example, like let's assume I'm dealing with a binary search tree, maybe. So like you have this algebraic data type that defines the algebraic data, that defines the constructors and all. So in the property-based testing, then this path that we're describing is the percentage of which one of the constructors are going to be built, something along those lines.
Not exactly. There was like there's another paper that looks like that specifically, but so it's a little bit more than that. Okay, so we have like a binary search tree. Well, I think let's just go with the tree.
Okay.
Right. So we have a tree. In the first step, right, you can choose where the two children are.
Yeah.
Right. So it'll be like, and then a cluster call on one children and a cluster call on the other children. So that's one thing you can do. Another thing you can do is just like, hey, a current node, let's just have it, a be leaf. Nothing happens. So those are the two branches then, right? The leaf, or to get recursive calls on the two children that it would have. So at that branch is where we would put the frequency of how often we want to choose this terminated case, the base case. Right. How often do we want to do the recursive case? And then the frequency is how we control that. And then if weighted a certain way, then you have a different distribution of the inputs at the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then so this you're describing how to use the tool. So what are you adding to it?
What am I adding to?
Yeah, what's your research? What's adding on top of that?
That is research. It's like how to weight it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, how to weight it. So like I use dynamic sampling, simulated annealing to figure out like what kind of weights you want. So like start out at a random weight. It runs generator. It says, okay, this is the distribution I want. No, I sample again, right? So it's just like simulated annealing. And then the thing that's interesting, right, is that okay, there are some distributions that you physically can't get. So let's take a look at like a list, right? So I have this list generator. The way it works is that I have these two branches. I want it to be to terminate with a nil, or I want it to be like choose as a random integer, append it to the recursive call. So the default generator has a 50-50 chance of going to the nil case or the recursive case, right? So if I say my distribution is I want 80% of my lists to be nil, then I would just weight the nil case with like an 8, and then the other case with 2. That gets 80%, right? Okay, so nil. So if I want 80% of nil lists, that's pretty elementary. And then let's say I want something more complicated. Let's say I want the size of the lists to be uniform. Okay, and then you kind of start to see a problem, right? Because these calls are recursive, that means if a nil list will happen like 50% of the time at default, right? And then a list of size 1 would happen 25% chance, and then 12%, 12.5% chance, and so on and so on. So it's a geometric distribution. So you can't really have like a uniform distribution in that. So we were also looking at different ways of repairing these generators, of like rewriting them so that they're able to have more control in that. So basically that comes down to adding more points in the program that we could add this this frequency thing of have more choices. Yeah.
Cool. That's amazing. Really cool stuff. And you just submitted it as to a research competition? As a research competition?
Yeah, I just submitted it to the one Popple.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
It was actually really cool to do this process. Because I was like looking on a website, I using the formatting, the ACM formatting in my LaTeX document.
Is it your first time writing LaTeX?
Not my first time. I mean, previously I only did it for math. And like math, like how to do math in it. But like I didn't know how to like write a CS paper in it. And that was a big learning curve to try to learn how to like write a student algorithm and then get formatting to look a certain way. And then I made like a Hawkrap account.
Yeah.
And then I also got a orc ID.
Nice.
So those felt like important and fun milestones
in my research career. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was really excited when I got to do these things.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So where is gonna be Popple next year? I think it's in France, right?
Yeah, it's in France.
Oh, going to France. That will be fun.
Yeah.
Be awesome. Cool stuff. Yeah, that's really cool. Awesome stuff. And what do you think you have learned from like, I think you've mentioned at some point that you've learned some quite particular skills by doing this kind of researches. Do you want to talk a little about that?
Yeah, so I think the first thing that I learned really well was that, okay, so when I was helping Patrick with his stuff, I had to go into OCaml's property-based testing like framework, QCheck, a bunch of times. And I had to like really read the source code to figure out what was going on. So I feel like reading code is like a skill that kind of has to be learned in practice.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, I feel like nowadays you might not need to know as much because people can ask
ChatGPT.
Yeah.
That can help a lot.
Yeah.
Especially in big projects, like have no idea even where to get started. Like, hey, like where do I find something, this huge code base that I don't know. This is a very little thing. And ChatGPT will be like, go to that file, line that file.
Yeah. Like when I was like doing my compiler course, I could do that with LLVM, but I can't do that with QCheck because it's much smaller, so I can't get anything from it. So I would have to actually like go into the source code and then read. So I think that was like a good skill that I learned. I did more GitHub like pull requests and stuff.
Yeah.
There's decent amount of me going to Patrick and being like, hey, why is this not merging? But he was
I've got a problem. They don't get merged. Oh no.
Yeah.
Your merge was rejected.
Yeah.
Conflict in branch.
Yeah, and I don't know what's going on, but he was helpful with that. So like it's just these like concrete skills, and then he would like give me kind of assignments to do, and also really good to just like practice OCaml as well and get to actually use it. Yeah, I think another skill that I've been learning is how to actually speak on like technical subjects.
Yeah.
So in the beginning of like my meetings with like Ben and Patrick, they would be talking about stuff, and I would have no idea what's going on.
Completely lost. I know that feeling.
Yeah, I would be sitting there not saying anything, and then but later on, as I started doing my own project, I had to explain what I was actually doing, and then I realized, okay, this is not a skill that I've been able to really practice. Like, how do I speak confidently about, and how do I actually express what these technical details are? And that was something that I didn't get a lot of practice on. And then I think one thing that helped was like I ended up doing these like one-on-one meetings with Patrick, and then talking about a research project. So since it was just like me and Patrick, he's like a great mentor in that he like asks me challenging questions, and then he will push back on the things I say. So like it really forces me to actually like explain myself and think about what I'm trying to say.
I also thought intro to PL to Patrick. Did you know that? He was my student too. And yeah, I remember he always had really, really great, insightful questions. I was like, dude, what are you doing with Kiara? Come work with Ben or Suresh. Like, these are really good questions. I love it. Some days I'll be like, I don't know. I'll go back and look it up and come back to you. But like when he was learning Cock at the time, Rock now, yeah, man, he thinks differently. Like he thinks deeply about the technicalities of stuff. He does really good research questions. It's a skill. It's a skill that I look up to him. Yeah, for sure.
No, yeah, he's really great because he asked me hard questions, and then be like, I don't know how to answer this. But then like, I'll think about it, and then by like talking with him so much more, I found that like as I go into the meetings with Ben as well, I'm able to be more confidently explain myself.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
that was really valuable to me. Yeah. And then I think another skill that's that I had to learn was also like writing.
Writing, yeah.
Yeah.
That's my Achilles heel by far. Writing for me is the hardest.
Yeah. I mean, and I learned how hard it is. So for the student research competition, I had to write a 3-page extended abstract. And then I would write out a draft. So I wrote out a draft, and it's like, hey Ben, will you look at this? And then I gave it to Ben, and he sent it back with me. And then he had written like all over it with so many different marks and like comments and stuff. And I was like, oh my God, this is so good. This is like such a good resource. And I went through it line by line and I looked at what his comments were and how he doesn't read my stuff. And he's so good at this.
He's good.
He's so good. Like he cuts out like all of my like unneeded like extra, I don't know, information, which is random, just words I had to add for no reason. He cuts it out and gets to like the point of the sentence. And I was like, damn, I didn't even see that. Like how do you see that? Yeah. Like literally, like as I was like going through this document, I was saying out loud, like, oh my God, Ben's so good. Ben's so good. This is so good. Yeah. The way I thought about it, I was like, yeah, he has his eyes on the prize. Like he knows what the main focus is and how to get there.
Yeah. And a lot of practice too, because like this is your first time writing something. This is his millionth time reading and giving feedback on something, right?
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing for sure.
So that was great too.
Yeah, those are great stuff, and for sure important skills for a researcher. I feel like a lot of the important skills are not even doing the research itself, right? Are the soft skills around, as you mentioned, like presenting your work. As you mentioned, the writing. A lot of science. I think Philip Waller brought a really good point on the interview he gave here. That science is really about communication, right? It's about communicating your ideas. Like you're doing something interesting and you want to show to the other person not only why it's interesting, but what is going on here, right? Like giving the details, and you need the person to understand. So you need to be extremely, extremely clear and on point. So those are and also you also mentioned about Git and GitHub. Like you have to share your work as well and have to have a good platform and know how to use these platforms in a good setting. And yeah. And then you also mentioned about understanding other people's work, right? By reading code. So all of this, if you think about it, none of it are technical skills. None of it is learning about the technicalities of programming languages or type theory. These are things around that, right? Like about communication, about understanding, about having an open mind, which are definitely extremely, extremely important in a research setting. And I don't know, maybe we kind of like either take them for granted, or like they're just kind of skills that you assume to learn as you go, and you don't think too much about it, right? But I love that you bring those up. Yeah, thank you for sharing.
Actually, one more thing is that I also recently gave my first academic talk.
Oh yeah, at Purple.
Yeah, Purple.
The Purdue PL group seminars that we have weekly. Yes.
Yeah. So it was just like an empty slot, and no one wanted to fill. It's like, oh, I'll do it. So everyone gets their free lunch on Thursdays.
Otherwise, I have no free lunch. Someone has to present something.
Yes, exactly. So like, I'll be the hero that we all need. I presented a paper that was just published at UPSA. It's called tuning input generators. So basically, it's like kind of like pretty much very similar with the same research question, but like they implement it in a different way. They use like probabilistic inference, and then it's like an embedded DSL in Julia. So, and then the one flex that I will say is that I got to present it before they did at UPSA.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So, maybe, they got like a much more, interesting paper and a more complicated solution, this better solution, but I presented their work first.
So you probably had more time to present as well, because if I'm not mistaken, presentation at UPSA is like 20 minutes, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I think I got.
You had 1 hour, right?
Yeah, but I did like 45 minutes, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I wrote up the presentation for it, because I guess I don't think I could ask for their presentation before they presented it.
Hey, can you record what are you gonna present real quick, just so I know what's gonna go?
Yeah. So I don't think I could ask them for it. So I made the slide deck, and then I practiced it like a couple of times, and I told Ben beforehand, hey, will you give me notes on it? Because this is my first time, giving a presentation.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing right or what I need to do. Okay. And then a couple weeks later, I go meet with Ben to talk about this, and then he gave me some really great pointers. So one of them was like, I just forgot to add a conclusion slide.
Okay,
yeah, I completely forgot to do that. And then apparently Ben says, yeah, this is a thing, that everyone does. And I was like, oh, really? Everyone does this? And he's like, no, like people do it at practice talks. And then someone in an audience like tells them, hey, don't do this. And then I later learned from like Patrick, yeah, like Ben's really big into conclusion slides. So I'm guessing the person in the audience that tells them not to do it is always Ben. So he told me I should have a conclusion slide. And then with like at the end where I had all my graphs and stuff, he said that, yeah, there is like the graphs, the images with like all the numbers and stuff. But what do you want the audience to actually like get from this? This would be like a sentence that explicitly says, what the results are.
Yep.
Like on the slide. It's like, okay, that makes sense. And then, so one thing that I was thinking about as I was like, doing this presentation, I was practicing for it. I was like, yeah, like I kind of know the general structure of how this talk is gonna go. Like I'm gonna explain this, and I'm gonna go through this, and then like in my head, like by the way it goes together, it will tie up. But I wasn't sure if that was like clear to the audience, right? Do they understand that this is where I want to go, and this is how it ties together, right? So he said, yeah, you should have more explicit signposting, like explicitly say,
this is where we're going.
Yeah, like in this light paper, I'm gonna talk about blah blah blah, and then the transitions. So those were really helpful.
Did he explain why he likes a conclusion slide?
So he was telling me that there are like only 3 things that like someone can take away from the talk. So I guess you want to be explicit what the 3 things are, that they take away the right things.
It's like you start the talk, everyone's paying attention, introduction. Oh yeah, I get it. Things are making sense. And then you start talking about the technicalities, you start losing half the audience, maybe more. But then once conclusion comes in, you're like, hey guys, come back. Here are the takeaways, right? Here are the highlights, right? Like this is what you can take home quick,
Yeah.
So it's very useful.
Yeah, but the way I think about it is that like the conclusion would be like the thesis, and all of it is supposed to build up to it. So you kind of have to make it explicit what you actually need to build up to. And then like writing that's like kind of abstract, and then doing this talk. Like I felt very engaged doing these things because like you know what like a good paper feels like, what a good talk feels like, and then but you also know that like a talk like it needs to hit this thesis, or this paper needs to hit this thesis, but like how do you like make that clear? And then that's like a very interesting challenge to me. And then there's a lot of choices you can make, and some of them like takes you off the rails a little bit. But how do you stay focused? So that's something I'm very interested in.
So you like doing all of these things so much that now you want to do a PhD?
Yeah.
Okay. What are your thoughts there? Like, why do you think you would? What is your decision process to decide? Okay, I want to do a PhD. What's in your mind here?
I think part of it is that like I don't know if I want to be just like I don't know if I want to be a software engineer.
Okay.
Right? That's part of it. But I think something about my personality is that like I'm a nerd. I really like it when people explain complicated topics to me. I like asking questions, and I like when people, tell me about stuff I don't. I really like learning new things, and I like it when people explain something they're really passionate about to me. That's very new to me. So something about my personality just really interested in learning.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
Good stuff. So how's the application process going? What are you looking into here? Like, what are your interests?
What are my interests? So like that's something that's like I think I feel more lost on. Right? So like I've been doing a bunch of stuff with property-based testing. So like that's all I know. And I know there are like a couple like couple good professors who do stuff with property-based testing. So like okay, I guess I can go into like this direction. But what if there's more interesting stuff out there?
What did you learn on Suresh's PL class? He gives some rock, some Daphne, right?
Yeah, I learned rock and Daphne.
You learn some lambda calculus.
Yeah.
Learn to read the inference rules, typing systems.
Yeah, there's like small step semantics and syntax rules and things like that.
Do you look into type soundness, progress and preservation?
Yeah.
Okay, so you got the whole initial PL shebang that all the PL research is built on top of.
So like I know there are some people like go into the more abstract like strict logic side of it.
Yep.
And I think those are really interesting. Like I don't know, I kind of want to look more into these logic systems. But like I haven't had the chance to. And I don't know. I know like some people do like program synthesis, like which is like kind of what Patrick does. They do like formal verification, right? I don't know. It's just really big out there.
It is. It is. There's a lot going on. A lot of very interesting research going on. I'm sure that no, you're gonna make it when you get to present on Popple your poster. It's gonna be a poster like this, so competition. Then you got the chance to actually meet all these professors and their students in a conference setting and talk to them and see what's hot, what people are interested in working on, and have an idea of directions. So yeah, I'll definitely say really spread your how's the phrase go? Spread your eggs in many different baskets, right? So that you can have a broad set of choices to make once like be accepted to as many schools as possible, visit as many schools as possible, go there, talk to the people, see what their research are interested in. I'm sure a lot of professors, they are interested in students with your profile, in the sense of being passionate, not being very sure what to expect, where to go, but confident that this is the direction that you want to head, right? And wherever your interests end up leading you, that's gonna be good. That's the important thing. Like you're having fun along the way. I'm trying to remember here if I've ever done. Did I ever do an episode about PhD applications? I feel like I should have done at some point, but I don't remember. So really quick, huh?
I don't know. I think I might have seen something about it, but I don't know.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Must have been like forever ago. Maybe the first year of the podcast. We're like the fifth already. But okay, real quick recap. In the US, what you need for doing a PhD application is statement of purpose, letters of recommendation, your transcript, and you brought to my attention that sometimes you need to bring up a writing sample of yours, an academic writing sometimes.
It's like 1.5 schools that wanted it.
Sometimes, yeah, it happens. Some schools also require the GRE, which is the graduate version of the SAT exam, which is basically a big exam. I don't know how to describe that. I don't know. It's just an exam so that you show that you have academic competence somehow, that you can understand hard text in academic settings with hard words, and you can write with in an academic way. And there's a little bit of math, the GRE. And you said that most of the cool PL schools, like the interesting universities with good PL research, they're not really requiring GRE, right?
Yeah, like in my list, that I was looking at, like only MIT and Stevens Institute needed it. Okay. Maybe I should double check that, but yeah.
And as I mentioned to you before, like it surprises me that MIT is requiring it, because when I applied 7 years ago, they were one of the few schools together with Purdue that didn't require GRE, and now you're saying that they're the one of the few that do require. So it surprises me, but okay.
Yeah.
And if you're an international student, you also have to take a English proficiency exam, TOEFL, IELTS. Now they have this Duolingo proficiency exam that I don't know about, but apparently they accept some Duolingo proficiency. And one thing that I mentioned real quick about the statement of purpose, but I think it's one of the most, together with statement of purpose, letter of recommendation, transcripts are the most important things in your application for sure. GRE and TOEFL, they're more kind of like eliminatory. I'm gonna say, like they have a particular like the university has a particular threshold in mind, and if you don't meet, you're out. That's basically, like in a good part, that's how it goes. Writing sample, I have no idea how they use it. I didn't hear about it before, but statement of purpose is really important for you to set up the narrative, which is exactly what Francille has been doing in this first part of this conversation, right? Like telling about her story, telling about her interests, her passions, like what are her motivations to do a PhD, why is all of this interesting, why the school should admit her. And one part of the SOP that we didn't talk today, because it wouldn't make sense for you to speak about this for us, is for each one of the universities, you should tailor a part of your SOP to say why you would be a good fit to that university. right? So in particular, for example, you show that you have made your part of the research here, and you know kind of like what would be the interesting professors there, that it would be a good fit, and why you would be a good fit with these professors, things like that. And letters of recommendations are very important for the university to have some kind of confidence that you are able to do the research that you say that you're interested in doing, right? And you're also provides a kind of certificate that you have worked well with someone, right? So you should look for people that you have worked before. So in Francille's case, I'm very confident that you're going to ask Ben a letter of recommendation for sure, right? It's a very solid, strong letter of recommendation because they worked close together with one another. You want to choose someone who has a lot to speak about you and that you trust that will speak good things. It is better to get a letter of recommendation of someone who's not super famous in the field, but that knows you extremely well, that you work closely with, rather than going to these big names that, you know, like maybe you met a couple of times. And I don't know, the correct things in this ways is usually for them to, like, if they don't feel like they can write good things about you, the etiquette is usually to decline to write a letter, right? Because a bad letter of recommendation can really ruin your academic career. So the etiquette is that if the professor could not write a good letter of recommendation, they should not write a letter of recommendation. Of course, there's always going to be people that do not follow etiquette, right? Like that are waiting to throw people under the bus, but that's on them. So there's nothing we can do about it. But that's why you should be confident that you can trust whoever you ask your letter of recommendation, that they would either decline if they're not able to, or that they will write a strong letter of recommendation for you. And of course, your transcript is gonna say how good of a student you are. I think transcript is the most complicated one in the sense of like gathering data for a couple of reasons. I'm gonna say the first one is that comparing transcripts between universities is hard, right? You don't know if a particular university is more has more inflated grades than other universities. One thing that is kind of known in our field is that American institutions, universities here in the US, usually has inflated grades. So it's more common for you to see students to have a perfect 4 GPA, for example. Whereas, for example, in my home institution, I don't know anyone who has a perfect 4. Well, first because we are out of 5. Like the grades is from 0 to 5, so don't have a perfect 4. But having a perfect score like that, now that I mentioned, I know exactly one person that has a perfect 5, like, and he was extremely extraordinary, like extremely extraordinary. But like some places are basically impossible for you to have a perfect score, right? And also even if you don't have like the most stellar perfect transcript, that's not the end of it. Like your grades doesn't necessarily reflect your capability of doing amazing research. It is a tell. It gives some perspective to the professor that yes, this person is smart, is capable of putting in the hard work, is capable of studying and understanding things in depth. But maybe the person is just really good at taking exams too. That doesn't mean that he's a good researcher, right? They're different things, but having good grades is a very good sign that you might be a good fit for a research life. But having said that, even if you do have some holes in your transcripts, it's not the end of the world. If it's a terrible transcript, then maybe it is. Maybe that can hurt you a lot. But it's still not the end of the world, because you can go ahead and do a master's, and now you have a new set of transcript, right? Like it completely overrides in many ways your old transcripts if you take a master. So that's there's still route. It takes a little more time. It's a little more, tiring, but it's not the end of the world. And even if your transcript has holes, there are ways that you can like manage your SOP in such a way that you kind of answer those questions, right? Like, hey, 2020 was COVID. I mean, 2020, it's kind of expected that this would be a weird year, right? Somehow. But hey, this year, I don't know, like I had some really bad disease, whatever. School was crazy. My mom got, I don't know, something very bad happened in my life, or like there are ways to compensate for holes in your transcript, right? So do you want to add something about the application there?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I was pretty strong about the things there. So what are the top universities that you would be looking into here? This is a tricky question, right? Because if you don't answer other places, like
So one of it is the University of Buffalo, University at Buffalo, right?
Cool. There you go.
So, but like specifically, like I really like the work that like Harrison Goldstein does.
Yeah.
He just started I think this past year at Buffalo, but yeah, he was one of the authors on a paper that I presented at Purple. But like I don't know, like every other paper that I've read, to help me do Patrick's research or do my research has been written by him. So I don't know. He does decent amount with like product-based testing, and I don't know. And from what I hear, he's very nice.
Yeah.
So because of that, and he's like, he just started, so he's probably looking for students.
Yeah.
And I also hear that it's also like best to find professors who don't have tenure yet.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of advice that I've taken. So Buffalo's pretty big on it. It's my top on the list. Yeah, I think the PL group at Buffalo is kind of getting bigger a little bit.
That's it.
Yeah, like last year, one of Ben's undergrad students also started at Buffalo.
Who?
Ting Chuang.
Oh, really? He's there. Oh, okay. There's where he is. Okay. Yeah, he's my senior. I got here. He was Ben's first PhD student. So extremely smart, dude. Extremely smart. You met him? No,
No, I didn't.
you barely did, right? He was.
Yeah, well, yeah, I never got to meet him. Yeah.
This cool. I thought it was funny. Like I would ask, like random weekend we were hanging out, and I would ask him, "Hey, Joshua, like, so what have you been doing for fun?" And he's like, "Fun? Like, you have fun?" Just do research, man.
Yeah. Wait,
funny.
actually, the really cool thing was like, actually, I went to OPLSS over the summer, and then I met one of Ting Chuang's students.
Oh, really?
So it was like we were on the same flight too. So like I got to meet my, I guess, academic nephew.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so cool.
So shout out to Vincent. It's very cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Hopefully I'll get to join you at Buffalo.
That's awesome. Congratulations to Vincent and to Chen Shuan to start in Buffalo. I think he started about 2 years ago now. It's been,
I think,
1 year, 2 years, yeah. What was last year? No, last year.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. So as I left. Okay, so one thing last thing here that I wanna talk about is to give a little bit of thought and advice about the application process and the things that you guys should look for when doing your application. In particular, for those who who are already a listener to the show from a while knows that I give quite some priority to mental health, work-life balance kind of thing, because academia can be pretty tough, and I try to make sure that the students that are starting now are aware that like go in knowing that it can get tough real quick. So if you go in, like if you're starting your PhD, masters there's more room for slack, but PhD is a marathon. It can take a while, so I think it's pretty important for you to set up a very strong foundations of a good mental health early on. So like keep on your hobbies, find have a good physical activity going on, keep on your body physically active, because especially for us in computer science, it's very easy for us to not take care of our bodies. Like we just sit on in front of a screen all day, sitting in a usually not a great position, and our body just goes worse and worse and worse with the years. And usually in your PhD, you're usually gonna finish next to your 30s, and that's when things start going downhill. I'm gonna say, like you start going through your 30s. Oh man, get ready. Your joints are gonna start cracking, and not great. Not great. And okay, so take care of your mental health, take care of your physical health early on. Make sure that you keep your hobbies strong, like try to set a strong foundation of your routine, maybe set the hours that you're gonna work. It's different for every person. I'm particularly a person who I need a very strong routine. I need to wake up at the same time. I need to go to bed at the same time. I need to go to the gym at the same days. Like I have to have an extremely structured like day-to-day life, so I'm able to be productive. Some people are more like all over the place, and usually those people are more creative too, like because then they're very in touch with their inspiration, with the flow of the moment and what they want to do from moment to moment. I'm not like that. I want to know exactly what's going on. Even you guys probably noticed, like even to produce the podcast, I sit down and I'm like, okay, we're gonna talk. This is gonna be the narrative. Blah 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 blah. I need to have a strong sense of even control a little bit. Maybe I'm a controlling bitch. Maybe I don't know. To understand like where we're going, right? To have a narrative to where we're going. So different styles, different people. Find your style, but like have a plan on how to go forward. And another advice that I give is that take full advantage of visit days. So as I was saying, put your eggs in as many baskets as possible. Like try to get as many offers as possible. And once you get an offer, what happens is that the university will literally pay you to come and visit, so that they can convince you that they're the best universities in the US and that you should come here, right? So it's this day called Visit Day, and it's gonna be a big event, usually 2 days or 3 days, depending. 1 to 3 days you visit the university, and they're gonna pay for a hotel, for get you around, pay lunch, dinner, whatever. You get to have 101 with your prospective advisor and with some other academics that you would be interested in, to see that you would be a good fit. You can reach out to students, to former students, really take advantage of that. And because again, you want to make sure that you're going to end up in a place that you can thrive, that you're going to end up working with someone that cares about you, about your future, about your career. Doesn't matter if you probably in your SOPs, probably a good idea to mention, hey, I'm interested to work in academia, I'm interested to work in industry. Doesn't really matter. What matters is that you're passionate, and then you can show to them that you are going to be a strong fit over there. But on the converse, on visit day, once you have an offer on your table, then you're the one who should be seeing if they are a good fit for you, right? So you have to make sure that you take your time to analyze deep within you how do you see yourself living 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe even 8 years in that particular place, right? How do you see yourself surrounded by those particular people? How do you see yourself in a strong relationship with your advisor? Some people say your relationship with the advisor is a marriage, and it's kind of true, because this is a person who will have a very, very strong influence on your daily life for the next years, for the next 4 to 8 years. Let's put it that way. Hopefully it's not going to be 8 years, but sometimes there are things happen along the way. So when you're talking with the advisor, when you're with your prospective advisor, definitely look for these tales, to look for red flags, any kind of red flags, any kind of bad smells. Ask the hard questions. Ask the questions something like, okay, so what is your advising style? Are you a more hands-on or more hands-off person? At this moment in time, you should already be more aware your preferred style. Like, do you prefer an advisor that will give you more support, or an advisor that will let you do your own thing? Different kind of people too. I'm personally, for example, I am a little bit in the middle. Sometimes, like, depending on where I am, when I get stuck, I need someone who will help me, who will sit down and help me debug something. Maybe it doesn't even need to be the advisor. I could find someone else that could help me. So maybe a good academic support, like a good group would suffice. But overall, I need an advisor that is very good at having many ideas, and I can choose from these many ideas, and he gives me the freedom to disappear for maybe like 2-3 weeks, really implement it, really go down whatever rabbit hole I'm in, to get to the other side and then present to him. Because if I'm with someone who is checking on me too much, then I start losing focus and going to many places, and then I don't get anything productively done. Again, my style. Know your style. Ask the hard questions. So, how many students have he had? Did he has any students that drop out? Why did they drop out? Maybe it was fine. Like, I drop out for reasons that is completely unrelated with my advisor. Ben is absolutely great, fantastic. He really assisted with everything that I needed in my life, in my career. At some point, our interests kind of it started diverging a little bit. I wanted to go in a different route, but mostly I think the reason I dropped out is that I still needed too many papers, and I don't think I was a very good fit in the culture of this town. Like, I started getting the burnout that I went through in COVID, again, for not because of the advisor, but because, like, winter and being away from family, all of that built inside of me that I just couldn't stay in this particular place anymore. So I moved on. But looking for these signs, like trying to reach out to the past students, to the current students of that advisor, asking how are things, not only with that advisor, but with the department in general. How are you treated by the department? Do you get travel grants? Do you get how is the interaction with the other students? Do you guys talk about research? Do you guys have weekly meetings? Like, try to understand as much as possible about the culture, and even try to so in visit day there will definitely be students that are going to be around, that are going to come. You have the opportunity to talk privately with them, with no professors, with no faculty, with no anyone from the department, like just one-on-one with them. Usually, like, they give you this closed doors place where you can talk, like, very openly with these students. And so definitely ask the hard questions, like, try to have this feels like how do they like being here, right? And I would go a step further. This is one thing that I was telling Francille before we started the recording, is look for the students that are not there. Why are they not there? Maybe they're just focused on their research. Maybe they're just busy, but maybe there's a reason why they're not there. Maybe they don't feel like they want to share. They want new people there. Why? So definitely definitely have your eyes be very aware that academia can be a very tough place, and you want to make sure that you end up in a place that is good for you and that has people who care for you. All right. And let's see if I forgot anything. Know your advising style, what you look for, what these questions to ask. I think I'm gonna finish on the note that I asked a very good mentor of mine what I should look for when I'm looking for a mentor. Like what should you look for when you're looking for a mentor? And an advisor is a mentor too. And the most important thing, in my point of view, is that this person should care about you, should care about your career, should care about giving you the best environment forward, should care about championing you, right? So look for that. Hope you guys will find a great place for you to end up in. And do you have anything to add?
Wait, I just have a question. Are the visit days before or after you get acceptances? After, okay.
And yeah, the schools are gonna give you some money, and then you can kind of like pull in their money to travel directly from one place to another. I think there is some kind of, they try to line it up in a way that they have as little intersection as possible between their visits.
Which should I talk about like my mental health stuff? Like, so because like I don't know. So I'm like currently like doing 2 majors, right? I'm doing computer science, also doing art. So one thing that I really struggle with is like overworking myself, because these 2 are both like very, very time consuming majors. I don't know. Like, and I don't know how to kind of like get a good balance of not burning myself out.
Yeah. The thing is that like you're an undergrad. As an undergrad, you can get away with it because it's a more fixed amount of time. You see the light in the end of the tunnel easier, and in the end of this 4th year, you're done, right? So that's easier. But for a PhD, that's not entirely the case, right? The PhD, like undergrad is a little more of a sprint. PhD is really a marathon, and like you will end up out of breath. Like if you had to keep the same pace going for the next 2 or 3 years, like I would be surprised if you could pull it off. Maybe you can. People are built different, right? I don't know, but in the PhD, you wanna pace yourself in a way that is gonna be more like you have a little more room to breathe for sure.
Yeah. Like, I don't know, something I think about also is that, so you said that one thing that's good for your mental health is to have some other place your bit of like identity and then of value and worth into something else that's not research.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Thanks for reminding me of that. Is because, well, when you start working, when you start doing research, it's very easy for you to put your whole sense of self, your whole sense of worth into striving in that. So if everything that you're doing, everything that you see yourself, or everything that you value yourself in is in the research, so once the research starts going south, and trust me, it will at some point, things will go wrong. I mean, of course, not for everyone, but it's most likely things will start going wrong at some point, because that's the nature of research. Not everything goes perfectly all the time. On the contrary, most likely it will go wrong most of the time, right? So by the time that things start going south, and that's the only thing that you have going for you, it will be extremely tough. It is already extremely tough, but if that's your whole sense of self is in this particular achievement, then I was talking with a mentee, like with a friend of mine the other day, and he's having a hard time with his advisor, and this is exactly what I told him. Look, the more you are able to detach your sense of self-worth from the value your advisor is giving upon you, the better you're gonna be at your life, right? Because otherwise, everything that you're gonna be doing is trying to make this person happy, and you have no control over that. You don't have no control over other people's feelings, other people's thoughts, or other people's opinion. So you should be working really for you, and really look inside of you. What are the things that sparks your interest, and what are the things that you can be doing for you outside of work too? This is why I bring up particularly taking care of your physical health. That's a very important one. Like being in touch with your body, being in touch with yourself, with who you are as a person in the universe, and if possible, it's not always as gonna be possible, but if possible, keep a good hobby going. Go find a community outside of school. Maybe a board games community, maybe religion. Like maybe, I don't know, whatever rolls your boat. Maybe find people that likes to going out to bars and playing pool. I had some friends that did that too. Or like chess friends, poker friends. Do stuff outside of your research, outside of academia, that you can just pull yourself out of it, so that you have something else going, right? That's definitely very important in my point of view. So yeah, it's hard too. I think the hard part of the PhD, from what I could gather from the people around me, is exactly because you're getting out of school, and when you get from high school to college, you think you're an adult, right? You are an adult, but the thing is that you're an adult, but with still a very structured life. People are still telling you what to do. People are still giving you the measures of success, right? What does it mean to have success so far? Having good grades, right? When you get to research, when you get to academia, but also the job market is like this too. But in many ways, the job market is more forgiving in this sense that I'm going to talk about, which is nobody's telling you what to do. Nobody has any idea what it means to live life. You have to figure those questions on your own, and nobody's going to tell you that. So it's almost like you're being thrown into a large body of water, and you have to figure out how to swim, right? That's kind of what the PhD might feel like, because I was talking with Derek Dreyer, which is one of the most, like, if you go back into his interview, he'll talk about it. Like, you can hear himself explaining exactly what I'm trying to explain here. So Derek Dreyer is one of the most successful researchers in our field, in many ways. And he was saying that when he got to the PhD, he was expecting that his advisor would have all his answers. He was expecting that, he would go in and work hard on this particular question, and he would get on the other way. But that's not how research works. Research, you're gonna find an open question, and you don't even know if that question is approachable at all. So it's a very different way to manage stuff. Like there's no right or wrong answers, and honestly, you're the one asking the questions to begin with. So you're coming up with everything, all the fronts of it, right? And you're the only one who can kind of assign some meaning to it. And I think that's kind of I don't remember where I saw this, but I think it was Bob Harper would say this, that he believes that a PhD student is ready to graduate when the advisor says something and you can fight back and be like, you are wrong. You are not right, and I'm going to prove you, right? And that's how I feel about the PhD defense. The PhD defense is you showing that you got on the other side and that you can think by yourself, right? That you have your research, that you did everything that you wanted to do, and no matter what are the questions they're gonna bring to you, you're gonna destroy their questions because you put in the work. You can show that whatever objections that they have of your research, you have addressed them. This is you really answered everything that it could have answered for that particular thing. I think I went quite on a tangent, but
Yeah.
did I answer your question?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just there's a lot of things gotta watch out for when you're doing a PhD it seems, because it's like a very high kind of stress environment. So I guess you gotta make sure like everything else in life, is going well, so that the fact so you can able to have support for this very arduous process. And then
And there's no set on stone answers either. Like each person has to. What I'm giving here is some things that will probably help, but in the end of the day, you have to find what works for you, and that's the hard part too. Like being able to think by yourself, even for that,
yeah, but I think I don't know. I haven't really had anyone suggest say that, oh, you need to have some other thing you had to find like value with, like other than the research. And I think that's probably some advice that I'm probably gonna really think about.
Yeah, in some ways, this goes against the American hustle of have to grind your bones and your teeth in your work. I don't believe in that. I don't believe that's not sustainable in the long run. And maybe it was doable earlier for earlier PhDs, but it's not doable where we are right now. I think the kind of research questions that we're facing are intrinsically more and more challenging as the years goes, because as the human knowledge advances, the more knowledge you have to obtain in order to do something relevant with it, right? So doing science is increasingly more difficult because of that, and you have to find some sort of balance in it.
Yeah, like the really interesting that so like my boyfriend is also he's a math PhD student, and one thing that he told me to watch out for is that like for some people like maybe you don't say that you also do art, because there's some professors out there who think, oh, like the CS is the only thing you should do. If you do anything else, then you know you're a bad student, or you're not a good researcher, or you're not allowed to do that. So I don't know. That's also not a good environment to be in.
Yeah, I believe that we should. I don't know. I personally believe that like you should be unapologetically yourself, and if art and computer science rules your boat, then I believe that you're gonna find a way to find good space for both of them to feed, like these two things feed one another. Maybe you take your career into one and a hobby as another one, but the hobbies are important as a source of inspiration as well, right? Or maybe you are able to even squeeze in this hobby into your career. And I don't know, maybe people like computer graphics kind of things, like you never know the kind of incredible work that can come about as when like you mix different kind of backgrounds. We never know. You never know. Every person is a unique spark of divine inspiration in the universe. That's what I think. But what happens is I also believe that in many ways, if you are truly yourself, you will end up in an environment that will allow you to strive, because if you're trying to fit somewhere that's not yours, then you're always going to be in a box that is too small for you, right? I don't know how far I can say this, like, because this can also lead to a harder life in many ways, right? It maybe doesn't lead you to the most successful of the careers, but I can guarantee you that it leads to a more satisfactory work life experience for you, like more happiness, more satisfaction of your work, because if you're unapologetically yourself, you will find yourself in environments that will allow you to be you, will allow you to will honor you as who you are, right? And for me, those are the kind of places that I want to be. And I would expect that this is the kind of places most people should strive for being in. But I don't know. Sometimes we really look up to the most shiny spots, right? We want to go to the most amazing of the places. We want to go to be in the top of the world. But what's the price of that? Are you willing to pay that price? Maybe you are, but maybe you get there and you figure out that's not what you wanted, really. So by all means, I would say be extremely honest. Like keep going for whatever hobby you have and whatever makes you passionate and inspired in this world, and follow your heart in the sense of, listening very closely on what you want to do from deep within. You'll find ways, like to manage these different expectations, because work will have a very strong expectation from you. But if you are able to keep this touch with what you deeply want inside of you, with this deep source of inspiration inside of you, you will find enough energy and passion to figure out how to manage this dance. I believe. Yeah.
I mean, it's always helpful to talk about.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely, for sure. I think one last topic that we didn't touch is being a woman instead.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
No, like it's kind of scary to me. Like I'm like the scariness. I don't think maybe it's not entirely like not reasonable or justified, but like just in my lab, like Ben has two other students who are a woman, like Becca and Priscilla. And then there's just also like there's a postdoc, right? And she's also a woman, but like that's like 3 out of like a couple of dozen. I don't know how many, but it's like there's not a lot of women in this field, and I don't know. I think he'll be more comfortable if there were more women here, and the fact that there is so much men, and it makes me scared to think that I might be dealing with someone who's misogynistic, right? Like I've been lucky that it hasn't really been a problem, but in the future maybe I will have to encounter it, and then like how do I deal with that?
Last night when I got home after we talked about what we're gonna talk today, I was thinking about this question, and then something came to my mind. I don't know how it compares, right? Like because your experience is different than mine. Like I don't know how is it to be a woman, right? But it came to my mind like one time that I went to a beauty salon with my mom, which is an environment that you only find women, right? And I think like this is what I could understand from being scared of being a place, because I don't feel like I fit here. I'm not supposed to be here. Like that's the feeling, right? It's not my place. There's no one like me here, like everyone's different, and even you draw more attention to yourself, right? Just by being there, you draw attention. Like you're like, am I second guess yourself? Like, should I be here? Like this is okay? And I just am like in a corner over there, expect nobody to pay too much attention on me, right? Like, okay, like
Yeah. Like when I go to the purple seminars, like there might be like one other woman there,
right? Yeah.
And then I think about like I'm the only woman here. I don't know. Like I try not to really let the fact that like that these people, like we're not. I don't know. I don't quite let the fact that like I don't belong here like really come up.
Good.
But like most people are nice, but it's still uncomfortable. Yeah, so uncomfortable.
Yeah. I wonder. Yeah, my sometimes I look at the how's it called, the metrics of the podcast, And do you want to guess what's the percentage of female listeners?
Maybe 5%.
Yeah, you're right. 5 to 7%. Yeah.
Yeah.
It blows my mind. It completely blows my mind. Like out of 100 people, like 5 are women. It's like,
yeah.
and I like to bring this up because what can we do? Not only to make it a more welcoming place for for women, but also to attract more women as well, so that in itself will naturally make it a more welcoming place, right? If it's more natural, like more people, more women, like, there's more. Do you have thoughts?
I don't know. I think like part of it is just the way that our society has made itself, and that there's like less women in academia, so that's like a bar, right? And then I think like people are more theoretical, so I think it's easier for men to be like, oh, I'm smart enough to think about the complicated stuff, and then like women aren't encouraged to I don't know, explore this as much. Yeah, like there's less women in CS in general. Like maybe my classes is like 30%, right?
Okay.
Or 30% or like maybe up to 50. But like, and also like when I get to the grad classes or like the number of women,
Sure.
yeah, it falls. Yeah. So I don't know. I guess women just less encouraged, feel less comfortable to be in academia.
Well, but if you're a woman, and then you, Francille, you guys are. I want you guys to know that you this is also for all and for you too. Academia is also for you. Computer science is also for you. Type theory is also for you. Programming language is also for you. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise or to make you scared about it.
But I'm doing the best I can.
I'll
apply anyways and see where I get.
All right. I think this is a good note to end the episode then here. All right. Thanks for coming, Francille.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me.
Awesome conversation.
Yeah.
I wish you all the best in your applications going forward, and see you. Hope that we become, like academic. We're gonna be academic siblings now.
Yeah. That's fun.
Awesome.
That's fun.
All right.
So yeah, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode as much as I did, sitting down with Francille. I'm trying to remember if I actually told this story on the Type Theory Exists, which is the podcast only for patrons, as I said in the beginning. But yeah, I think like my vision of this new podcast, Type Theory Exists, is to have a continuation of these conversations that I have at the end of the episode for the people who really, I enjoy have this casual conversation where I just share some insights or some things that I'm up to, or my visit to the universities, things like that. For this particular episode, I went to Purdue to pick up some stuff that I had left behind. Actually, Francille reached out. She met me in a Halloween party, and she's like, "Pedro, I have a business proposal for you." Oh, that was so funny. She wanted to talk about what if there was some kind of synergy that we could do for her to assist her with her grad school applications. I think she was really visionary, and so I invited her to the episode. So we have this very heartful conversation about someone who's starting her career in programming languages. And the next episode is gonna be with Raghav, someone who literally just finished their PhD and is going into industry. So next conversation, like these two episodes, this current episode and the next episode, are kind of like a big conversation that I had with both of them. I recorded Francille's episode, and then we finished that, and right afterwards we recorded Raghav's episode. But I think I'm gonna release them maybe a month apart or maybe a couple of weeks. I don't know. Let's see. But one thing at a time. One thing at a time. Let's first release this episode, then we think about the next one. Anyways, and the conversation was very, very pleasant. I think you guys enjoyed as much as I did, as always. If you're applying, as I said, go to typetheoryforall.com/mentorship. Let's have a conversation. Maybe there's some synchronicity. Not synchronicity. I always get that word wrong. It's not synchronicity. Synergy. Pedro, help me out. If you think that I could be of assistance to your application process, having a second pair of eyes, having some advice. I think I have quite some advice to give to people. So go to the website and you can schedule a free first meeting, and we can go from there. Don't forget that usually the applications go until mid-December, more or less. Especially in the US, for sure, it's mid-December. Europe can be a little different. But and the usual, if you have any thoughts, any suggestions, feel free to send us an email. What is it again? contact@typetheoryforall.com. I was forgetting because it used to be typetheoryforall@gmail.com. I still keep that email. If you send something, it's gonna still come to the right place. But now I have a proper set email. Looks a little more professional. It's all about being professional in this world. What else? Well, there's the marketplace. Don't forget to check the store. Ko-Fi, help us out to acquire that new camera. Any donation is going to be extremely welcome. I think that's it. See you guys next episode.